sure everybody here is very familiar with the Little League World Series that happens in Williamsport every year, and that is an age group of 10 to 12-year-olds, predominantly 12-year-olds, that are playing in that 2-week event. But it might come as a surprise that there are other World Series that go on in Little League. And up until this past year, there was 8 World Series, and that would range from Williamsport for 12-year-olds to the Junior World Series, the Senior World Series, the Big League World Series for different age groups, and then different age groups for Softball World Series for the ladies. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was the outgoing president at Granada Little League, and Little League wanted to start a pilot program known as 50/70s. Now, standard Little League diamond is a 60-foot base path and a 46-foot pitching mound. No leadoffs and no steals until the ball has actually crossed the plate. So Little League wanted to start a pilot program, something in between the 12-year-old program and the junior program that actually plays on the 90-foot diamond. Now, Granada actually, in District 57, which is Granada Little League is a part of, had one of the few programs in the nation we were doing at that time called Junior 80s. And at that time it was an 80-foot base path and a 56-foot pitching mound, which is 6 inches closer than your standard 90-foot diamond. Little League decided that they would go to a 50-foot pitching mound and a 70-foot base path for a group of kids that were anywhere from 11 years of age to 13 years of age. And that would now become known as 50/70s. Now, a lot of Little Leagues did not have a diamond that could accommodate those dimensions. Fortunately for us, we had the flexibility at Max Bear Park to be able to do that. So as president of Granada Little League, I did sign us up for the pilot program, but there were very few of us in the United States that could accommodate that program. But as this brand of baseball became more popular, because with these distances, they now allowed leadoffs and steals. So you didn't have to stand on first base until a ball was thrown, and it was just a little bit slower type game, started gaining popularity. So a couple of years ago, Little League decided it might be time to have a World Series for that division. At the time, it was known as 50/70s. They didn't like the name 50/70s. It sounded odd to me to say we're going to have the 50/70s World Series, so they called it the Intermediate World Series and put out requests to all leagues and districts. If you were interested in hosting this event, please send in your proposal. 9 cities responded, and we were one of them. They did an interview, and then they did their final 3. Livermore, California ended up being in the final 3, and we were competing against Vancouver, Washington, and Chicago, Illinois. Very, very big cities who actually had experience in Little League World Series before. What I did not realize at that time was that here where I'm living in the state of California that has 5 Major League Baseball teams within the state, and yet the state of California had never hosted a Little League World Series. This would be the first if we were to win the bid. So the representative from Little League International from Williamsport flew out and hit Chicago, Vancouver, and Livermore and visited all the sites, and we did a tour. And eventually we were given the bid to host the Little League World Series. And last year was the inaugural event. Needless to say, the committee was a little nervous. We had lots of field improvements to make. Max Bear Park was good, but there was a lot of things that had to be modified out there to fit their needs and also to fit ESPN's needs, because ESPN is under contract to televise the championship game that happens. Now, right now, if you watch Williamsport, ESPN televises the full 2 weeks of games out there, and believe it or not, they just played predominantly those games for 16 teams on a single field. So it doesn't require more than one field, but that's why it's a 2-week tournament. Our tournament last year started with 10 teams, 4 international, 6 domestic. One of the domestic teams is considered a, quote, host team. Last year it was Pleasanton National. They won the district tournament, which gave them the right to play in the very first Little League World Series. This year, Canyon Creek Baseball, which is up in San Ramon, has won the district tournament and will be participating in the Little League World Series. The series is going to start on, the games will actually start on July the 29th, which is Tuesday, and conclude on August 4th, which is a Monday, with the championship game being televised live on ESPN2 again. The teams will arrive that weekend before. They will start flying in on the 26th and 27th, and Little League flies them in. So if you're thinking about getting a reservation at the Hilton Garden Inn for that week, you can forget it. It's booked solid with baseball players. So this year, we will have one more international team. So in addition to Canada, the Caribbean, Latin America, Asia Pacific, we're adding Europe-Africa region this year. And so right now, here's what we know about the international groups that are coming. Last year, Japan won the whole thing, and they were considered the Asia Pacific region. They just got knocked out this year by South Korea. So South Korea will be coming to Livermore this year, as well as Curacao and Puerto Rico. We should know by the end of the day today who's coming from the Europe-Africa area. Then in the United States, you have all your regions. So we already know Canyon Creek's in. We know there's a team from Tasahara Valley up in San Ramon who's trying to fight their way back here, and they could potentially represent the West. Last year, the West was represented by Nogales. So we'll see who represents the West. A little bit different format this year than last year's. Last year we had no night games. This year we will be having 5 night games. So where last year the last game started around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, this year we will have dates, I believe it's the 29th and the, so that's Tuesday and Friday and Saturday, and we'll have night games. I believe Sunday may even have a night game. And those will start at 7 p.m. All the games are held at Max Bear Park over off of Merdell. The whole event this year, again, will kick off with a parade in the downtown. And the parade will start on Monday, the 29th. It'll be over at the Growth Brothers parking lot. Starts at 6 o'clock. We do our parade with all the teams. We're looking at about 225 players, managers, and coaches will be participating in the parade, as well as some dignitaries participating in the parade. So it should be a really fun event. Sauce will be providing the players their opening night meal at that event. An event like this takes a lot of volunteers. Little League is a total volunteer organization. Matter of fact, the umpires who will be umpiring these games, there are 12 of them, are not paid to come out here. Matter of fact, their districts have to send them here. Little League doesn't even pay for them to get here. When they get here, we'll feed them. So it's all volunteer. We don't charge for parking. We don't charge for tickets. But you can come on out and you can enjoy some fantastic baseball. And last year, our anticipated attendance last year when we first met with Little League, we thought, well, if we have 10,000 people for the week, we'll be tickled to death. We ended up with over 36,000 attendees for that week. We finished in almost every category that Little League Baseball keeps track of. We finished second as a World Series, only to Williamsport. Attendance, we were second. Merchandise sales, second. Snack bar sales, second. Matter of fact, they were so proud of our event that they now use us as a model for other World Series that have questions. And we were the first ones to stream the games online. Nobody had even done that before. So every year we're going to try to make it a little bit better. Our goal eventually here is to have this become a 2-week event, just like Williamsport, with 16 teams, hopefully 8 international and 8 domestic, and turn this into a 2-week event. We do think that our brand of baseball, is what the kids want, because it is real baseball, and it is our goal that hopefully our World Series will become, if not equal, bigger and better than Williamsport. And so Livermore is where we want to keep it forever. If we do another bang-up job like we did last year, we don't see any reason why this event will ever leave Livermore. So I want to thank also, the city's been great. We're getting a lot of support from the city this year. We're getting a lot of support from LARPD, and we're getting a lot of support from the community. People have stepped up. They couldn't believe the amount of sponsorship money that we raised. When we told them what our goal was, they couldn't believe that we actually hit our goal. Matter of fact, we did so well with them that Little League turned around and gave every single World Series this year some seed money. So it's been a great experience. It's great for the town of Livermore. I can tell you, Williamsport in those 2 weeks generates about $20 million in tax revenue type dollars just for those 2 weeks there. So I remember going downtown after the games last year, after I walked out of there in the evening, and the downtown was just bustling. You know, you couldn't get it took you an hour to get into a restaurant. So we're going to keep that going, and we want to keep this thing here forever. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have.
So what do you have to win to qualify to play in that tournament?
So what you have to do to qualify for the tournament, you got to win your district. Then you got to go through sectionals. Then you got to go through regionals. It takes a lot to get it. You got to win a lot of ball games, and you get to be at a certain point where you generally double elimination type tournaments. But by the time you arrive here in Livermore, you've played a lot of baseball. You've played at least in three different tournaments.
They're not national champions.
To get here.
They're not the national champions, so.
They're not the national champions. They become the national champions after they win here. You got to win here to win the World Series. So this is the World Series. Japan got to claim it. They were the best for 13-year-olds last year. And generally the way it's broken down is you have an international bracket and you have a domestic bracket. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a winner from the international playing the winner from the domestic to determine who wins the World Series. So that's how it generally works.
How do men qualify to be umpires?
There's a lot of training you got to go through.
Yeah.
And there's a school actually down in San Bernardino. That is the Western Region headquarters. Actually, I've gone down there and done the training myself. I umpire. You can take a 1-week course, and you can also take a cram course on the weekend. I did the cram course for 3 days, and it started late Friday night. We went from 6 p.m. till midnight. Saturday was 7 a.m. till 9 p.m., and then Sunday was 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. on umpire training and mechanics. Once you're certified there, you're qualified to umpire. Yes?
Where do the 36,000 people sit?
So we didn't have 36,000 for one game, but that was our total crowd for the year. So what we have is we do have we have stands out there that you can sit in, but then we also opened up lawn seating, and that seemed to be the most popular seating of all the people who attended. They didn't want to sit in the stands. They literally brought their lawn chairs out, their blankets out. I would generally arrive at the park because I am the director of field operations at 6 a.m. to start getting things ready. That was my responsibility. And I would be seeing people walking with their lawn chairs, staking out their space for the day. And the way we try to design this, it's not perfect, is that we try to at least have the host team playing generally the last game of the day if we can. If we can set the schedule up to where Canyon Creek from San Ramon will play the last game of the day, we feel we can get the best attendance and maybe pit them against the Western Regional winner. But the brackets got drawn in the downtown here not too long ago. We had the drawing during the rodeo parade in the downtown. Those brackets were drawn, and the schedule was somewhat already set as far as the initial games are concerned, and then it depends on whether you win or lose. Once you lose, then you go into what's considered the loser's bracket, because if you lose one more time, then you're out. So it's a double elimination tournament. You got to lose twice, and once you lose twice, you're done and you're going home. But actually, you're not going home because Little League tells you when you're going to go home, because they fly these kids out in and they fly them out. So they pay for the kids and the coaches to get here. They put them in their hotels, and they book the tickets for them to leave. So if you're eliminated early, like Canada last year didn't win a game. So their first 2 games, they were gone. And so they had the rest of the week to go shopping or come out and enjoy the wine country or come and watch some baseball. But I got to tell you, Pleasanton put on a great showing. Pleasanton National last year had a shutout, and a kid pitched a no-hitter. So it was a fantastic game for their very, very first game. They did very, very well, all things considered. Yes?
Do you get selected as a team or as an individual from your local team?
So what happens is in your local leagues, you're an all-star team. So it's not your team that you played with during the course of the baseball season. You have to be on the all-star team for that town. And generally what happens right now is that the cities get together. Like, for example, Livermore has 3 little leagues: Granada, Livermore American, and Livermore National. Now they can take their entire population of those leagues and select the best 13-year-olds that would represent, quote, Livermore. And Pleasant could do that if they wanted to. Now, they opted not to do that last year, and Livermore opted to have Livermore National, Livermore American combined, but Granada didn't combine. And Pleasanton National didn't combine with Pleasanton American or Pleasanton Foothill. And Pleasanton National went on their own, and they did actually win the entire district tournament to be host. But you do have that latitude to take all the teams within your city and combine them. So when you look at the Canyon Creek team that won this year, they are a combo team of different teams from San Ramon.
Where do you go to volunteer?
All right, so if you go to our website, which is lliws.org, you can sign up to volunteer there. I will tell you that the volunteering is great. You can work the snack bar, you can work the parking lots, you can work the batting cages, you can just pick up trash, you can serve the players food. They have their own special player eating area, and you can give as much time as you can. And it's, like I said, it's all volunteers. If anybody's got some special barbecuing skills and they want to barbecue, I'm sure my two boys and their crew would be very, very happy to have some extra help. But the days will start, the days where there's 4 games, the days will be starting at 8 a.m. and ending at 10 p.m. And the days where there's 3 games, the days will be starting at 10 a.m. and ending at 10 p.m. So they are long days, but again, we don't expect you to work an entire day. If you can give us 3 or 4 hours in a day, that would be awesome. If you wanted to help serve the players meals on Monday night after the parade down at Sauce, that'd be great. But hey, if you can't do that, then just come on out and attend and buy some of the merchandise and watch some really good baseball. That Japanese team last year was probably one of the most fundamentally sound teams that I've ever seen play baseball. They would not make mistakes. They would wait for the other team to make mistakes, and then they would just jump on you.
Sounds like the A's.
Okay, I live right close to Max Bear Park and take my dog over there every day. But the issue is that the parking during those games have been really something. Has there been any arrangement to have parking lots in other areas and shuttles of people to the areas?
Believe it or not, we had plenty of parking last year, but that people did not utilize. We had all of Mendenhall Junior High School available for parking. And I know the city and LARPD had put signs out last year. And my Mendenhall lot, I had both lots in Mendenhall were empty. And people just either chose to park in the street or on Merdell. The Smith parking lot's not available because that's pretty much for volunteers and players and some of the VIPs that are credentialed to come in. But it was amazing to me that, because we did have signs leading people into Mendenhall, that Mendenhall lot never even got a quarter full. And it was kind of sad because I know the city had done a good job in LARPD of directing people there. Matter of fact, Mike Nagel this year told me, I'm not even going to give you the second lot over at Mendenhall because you don't need it. Never had a car in it last year. So I'm not sure why people just opted to park in the street, because the Mendenhall parking lot wasn't that far of a walk to the field. It was really, really close, but it was amazing because I had actually put a guy out there for security to keep an eye on that lot, and he finally came over to me and said, I'm not getting anybody parking over here. So we need to maybe do a little bit better job getting people into Mendenhall, because there's a ton of parking there. So, any other questions? Well, come on out, Bonnie.
No, just want to say thank you for bringing the Livermore idea.
Hey, come on out, have a great time. You get to meet some kids from all over the world, and the faces and how happy they are to be there is just, the sense of accomplishment and pride is incredible. So come on out and enjoy the week. Thanks.